Welcome to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant, and this is episode 196. Today, we're going to talk about why it's necessary to allow yourself to evolve. Let's get started. Welcome to the Best Today podcast. I'm your host, Shantae Grant, creator of the Best Today Guide and owner of the Best Today brand, where we equip women with resources to help you show up as your best one today at a time. If you're ready to trade chaos, comparison, and busy for intentional living, you are in the right place. We believe that intention begins with first knowing who you are and what you want. Here on the podcast, we'll have conversations together about topics that matter to you on the journey of becoming, because we know that being your best leads to doing your best. So welcome to the podcast created to help women all across the globe proclaim, this is what my best today looks like. Let's get started. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant, and today I want to talk about evolving. And if you are unaware, if you've missed the announcement, we are in our final episodes of the Best Today podcast. This is episode 196, and we will close things out at the end of this month, at the end of this year, with 200 episodes of the Best Today podcast, 400 total episodes because the first 200 episodes were the Business Life and Joy podcast. Over 7.5 years, nonstop, every single Monday, not one missed podcast. And when I thought about some of the things I wanted to share at the very end, this is one of those things. It is a message of encouragement, a message of exhortation, in that I want it to result in movement on your end if it is necessary. And it's permissive, not that you need the permission from me, but sometimes someone's encouragement is the permission you didn't know you were looking for or needed. So if you've been here at any point from 2017, I believe, when this podcast began, to 2021, when it transformed into the Best Today podcast, or even if you're just new right now and you're listening out in the future, 2027, one thing you will notice if you go back and listen to various points of this podcast over the last 7.5 years is that I have documented my evolution, right? In part, allowing myself to evolve, to change, to pivot, to prune, to test, to try, to tweak, to start, to stop, to continue, to grow, to expand, to shrink down, to eliminate, and all pretty much in real time here on the podcast. You've witnessed likely that I didn't stay in one place. I didn't hold myself hostage to an identity or an idea that no longer was true or right for my present life. And that has been a consistent theme for over a decade of my life, as I have allowed myself to change my mind, to try something different, to remove myself from places and spaces that just were not the best for me in my present season or life. And I think about even before this podcast from 2015, when I left the private practice and just left living under the identity of lawyer or attorney, which to the outside looking in seems like a very honorable or prestigious or whatever thing, when in all honesty, at no point of my life, even when I was practicing, is being a lawyer the most important thing about me, or even in the top 10 most important things about me. And so I removed myself from the cloud of that identity when I realized that the way in which I was living in it no longer suited me, right? Then there was the closing of my first company because of Zoe, the business that actually allowed me to leave the law firm, and the one that I grew unintentionally, what started out as as just making hair bows for my daughter and having leftovers, so selling them on Instagram and then being picked up in stores in under a year and doing so well that I was able to leave the practice of law and do even better than I was. And I enjoyed that business. And here's the truth. I could have kept going with that business and contributed to my family financially really well because it didn't require as much work and as much brain power as the things that I do now. Most of the bows at the point I had gotten to the point where I wasn't even the one making them anymore. I was just the one making the decisions about the fabrics and, the marketing and building the community. And those are the things I love to do. You'll see another theme throughout all the things that I've done have always been creating communities. There was the Because of Zoe community, the Boz Lovers. There was, when I was coaching business owners, the community I created there, the Business Life and Joy community. There's the Best Today community. These are all literally individual communities that I created because one of the common themes and values of my life is I value community, communities of women coming together to be there over shared interests. Like, and for Because of Zoe, the shared interest was we had daughters or our nieces or little girls in our lives who we enjoyed buying hair bows for, right? And to connect over something that might seem small really took me into depths with a lot of people. There is the mother of Leilani, a young girl who was diagnosed with cancer at a very young age. And when I took her hair bows and headbands to the hospital because I knew she might be losing her hair, and her mom wept in that hospital room over that headband. That was a lesson that taught me that it's never about the thing. It's about people feeling seen, supported, comforted, valued, loved. And we can do that in so many ways in our lives. And that has been a beautiful lesson that I have just grown on and sunk my teeth, my roots into over the last decade of my life. And so I think of, from moving from Because of Zoe and how that opened a door for me coaching business owners about wholesale, about my experience with wholesale, about managing their time, because I was still a wife and a mother at the time, just to one. And then I became a mother to two. And then I was running a business while coaching people and now 2 children, just showing people how I was doing those things, right? I made the choice to decide to stop coaching business owners because I realized that wasn't something that I enjoyed as much. One, I wasn't willing to do it in the way that most deemed to be popular or quote unquote successful. And I realized I cared far more about people's lives and who they were. And so I wanted to talk about that, which is what led to me starting Best Today, technically at the end of 2019, formally, but to the public in 2020, literally right at day one of a global pandemic hitting America when schools were out. That day, the first day school was out was the first day we were launching the Best Today guide. And but transitioning into really want to talk to people about stewardship of their time and planning. That was 2020 to now 2024, wanting to focus more time on writing and reaching people really in 3 different areas, which I haven't talked about much here on the podcast, but I'm going to share with you now. But that's kind of a really short version of some of the evolution that's happened here and which has led to why I'm bringing this podcast, this 7.5-year contribution to you, to the world, to those who want to listen, bringing that to an end and making it look and now evolving and growing into the next way that in which it will look, right? And so there are 3 different areas now. We went from, hair bows to coaching businesses to then doing more kind of helping people with their time. That led to the corporate work that I do. And here we are. And here are the 3 different areas where now going forward, my focus is. Number 1 is the Best Today community. That community of women who I create products for and events and experiences through community, right? Being there for the women in the Best Today community. And now I can do that in maybe more expansive ways, getting together physically more often, creating resources that are just there. And now I don't have to, and that takes away the, you got to market it and put it online and run ads. And it's like, no, I'm going to create things and I'm going to create them for the women in my community. And if people want them, they can get in the community and they can find them, right? Helping them steward their time and living a life of intention, which is going to touch upon many categories of life and work. But that is the first segment, the first area where my time will be devoted even more than it has been over the years since the community was created. I believe we created the community in 2021, maybe 2020. I'd have to go back and look. Number 2, corporate coaching. That is where I actually spend a lot of my workday, Monday through Thursday, in some form or fashion, whether it's preparing, creating, meeting with new potential clients, and then the actual coaching, but helping people in the place that causes the most stress and where you spend the majority of your time every day. And that is at work, right? Helping corporate clients, meaning anyone who works for another company, helping them with their time through strategy, through workshops, through one-on-one coaching. This really has been a delight. And the way that this has grown almost organically and solely, for the most part, from word of mouth, has been an unexpected part of allowing myself to evolve and do things that I enjoy, and then pruning away everything that I do not enjoy. And I'm going to tell you, every time I get off a coaching call, I literally get off the call filled with gratitude because I just spent time with someone who I could help with not only work and understanding how to either implement different strategies, try different things, think differently about the flow of their work, answer their specific questions, speak generally, but it's the relief I see in their eyes, the joy that comes back in knowing they have something to try, their faith in believing that I can help them, and then being able to meet them right where they are. And so far, every single person, they're just a delightful human. And it just brings me so much joy to be able to help people right where they are, because I understand if I can help you with your time at work, I can help you with the other places that also matter to you. We can talk about how now you're able to stay at your son's baseball game instead of having to leave early to go open your inbox again. These are real examples, right? Like we can talk about how now you actually can have dinner with your husband instead of him thinking that now he is second fiddle, that you have this job that is so demanding of your time. And it's going back to what I said, really wanting to help people in their lives. And I understand one way to do that is to help them get better control over another part of their life. And I just truly, truly love the corporate coaching that I get to do with all types of companies, corporations, organizations. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
During my lunch walks is my prime time for listening to the Best Today podcast. I have learned so many gems and new ways of thinking that I will carry with me forever. My 2 favorite gems, which I have both written on Post-it notes at my workstation. The first, comparison is a failure to see yourself. When I first heard that, it was such a mind shift because it reminded me to take my eyes off of other people and focus instead on who I was created to be. The second note that I have posted in my line of vision is, as long as I am alive, I can course correct. I have memorized this line and I've whispered it to myself on multiple occasions. It's a reminder that at any moment, I can begin again in a new way, with a new mindset, and in a new direction. As long as I'm breathing, it is not over. I for sure will miss new episodes of the Best Today podcast, but Shantae has left such a plethora of knowledge and wisdom on the variety of topics that I'm sure I'll be able to find an episode that will fit my need at that moment. Thank you, Shantae, for your contribution to my personal growth and development. It is seen and valued.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Now that the tears have been wiped from my eyes, I just want to say thank you and extend so much gratitude for you listening to the podcast, you taking what you need from the podcast. Valerie also shared over in the Best Today community from her work area where she has, notes from the podcast that encourage her. And I'm going to tell you that just means so, so much to me. For over 7.5 years, I have created and you sit on this side of the microphone and I've spent countless hours behind this microphone and preparing to sit behind this microphone, and you hope that it doesn't just land on the ground and nothing comes of it. And so to hear from people who have listened and who have gleaned from it, I am grateful, because it means when I threw the ball, someone hit it and it didn't just fall to the ground unappreciated and unseen and unvalued. And so I thank you so much for that. I just thank you so much. It has been a joy and a delight to sit behind this microphone month after month, week after week for over 7.5 years to pour into women just like you, Valerie. So I say thank you. And I extend that same thanks to everyone listening right now who has actually taken the words here and applied them to your life where it fits. And we'll continue to do that because the episodes will remain here. So thank you again, Valerie, for your time to share those kind words with me. It means more than I can say in this short episode. So that is that second aspect, that second area where my time will be spent going forward. My Best Today community, my corporate coaching. And then the third component of that is encouraging women through the truth of Scripture. That is something that I've done privately in my own life. And now it's becoming more public. It started with me sharing my 14-day devotion, creating Invitation to Abide. And if you're interested, you can subscribe at invitationtoabide.com. We'll link it right here in the show notes. But really wanting to help, same thing in a sense, help people steward their time, but through the lens of Scripture and through the lens of being a disciple of Jesus Christ. You know, this work is really meaningful to me as well, because I've been gifted to do it. And it's where my heart and my mind wants to be. And so many of the choices that I've made this year have been made to make more time for this work so that I can allow this work to also to evolve and to grow. But I couldn't do that without first pruning off other things. And so these are some of the reasons also why the podcast is coming to an end and why I have streamlined, why you don't see me on social media, why you don't see Best Today much on social media outside of the scheduled posts that we put in. It's because you have to understand where value is in your life and invest space there. Don't give things that don't matter a small percentage, because even if it's 1%, that's 1% you could be pouring into something right now. You're giving 9 and you could give it 10, something that matters more. And so it really is an understanding, allowing yourself to evolve, right? I loved and connected with so many people, maybe some of you listening right now, through Instagram. But right now, that is not the space for me to meet you. Right? If we can meet in person, we can meet in the community, we can meet at my events, we might meet through corporate coaching, we might meet through Invitation to Abide, we might meet through, for those on the journey, my writing, which of course is another part of that, I'll be writing about all the things there. That encompasses all 3 of these things, or at least the first 2. And that's no longer a place where I'm likely to meet you. Now, if you go to social media, you will see a body of work that has been there, but you won't even see what is most relevant. But there's links to take you there, because I understand that I had to evolve from being a person who spent time on these platforms because it just isn't the best use of my time. And I believe that I am required to be a good steward of all of my resources, and time is one of those resources. And so I've allowed myself to evolve. And so for people like, oh, well, you used to, well, you're saying it exactly right. Used to, but no longer, because I have allowed myself to evolve. And I want you not to hold yourself hostage and prevent yourself from evolution, even if your fear is that it is going to change some relationships, terminate some relationships. But so be it, because what is the alternative? For you to stand still, be stagnant, regress? And so I share all of this to hold a mirror up to you, not to make this about me. It never is. But it's to remind you to allow yourself to evolve, to notice the expansion and the growth, the change in your proclivities and desires and passions when they are values aligned, to honoring who you are today by not holding yourself hostage to who you may have been in the past. This is your encouragement and invitation to never be the person who stops your growth. And this is also your reminder that just as in nature, in the garden that grows your favorite things that grow on the vine, pruning is often necessary for the best and most fruitful growth. So don't resist the pruning. Just make sure you're not cutting off the part that needs the growth, right? Don't choke the good fruit to grow in your life. So if we keep living and learning and being honest with ourselves, growth and evolution are inevitable. They're unavoidable. Be mindful that your growth is positive, right? It's upward, progressive growth. I'm really, really excited to continue to share my story, my journey, my evolution with you on For Those on the Journey. That's where everything will be documented, right? In writing and wherever else, I may be taken. I want to stay connected to you. So please make sure to subscribe to For Those on the Journey. We have it linked right here where you're listening, or you can go to forthoseonthejourney.com. And as we enter this last and final month of the Best Today podcast, I'm really excited and about what's to come. And I'm grateful for all that has been. I have learned from the high and from the lows. I have pruned with precision this year, and I'm thrilled for what is to come. So excited. So come with me, please. Come with me, won't you? Make sure to subscribe to For Those on the Journey. Keep listening here as we close out this chapter of my contribution to the world through this podcast. And let's see what the days ahead look like as I continue to evolve right alongside you. I'll talk to you on the next episode. And don't forget to subscribe to For Those on the Journey. We have that linked below, as well as invitation to abide if you're interested in that as well. Talk to you later. This podcast is provided for you every week by Best Today, where we are on a mission to help you to live and work well. We do this by creating resources that bring intention to how you plan, schedule, work, and live. You can get started in one of 3 easy ways. First, by taking our product quiz at besttoday.co/quiz. 2, joining us in our online community, the Best Today community, at besttoday.co/community. Or 3, connect with us through email at besttoday.co/email, all of which are linked below in the show notes. To learn more about our company and what we do, visit besttoday.co and join thousands of customers around the world pursuing a life of intention, one today at a time.